How are you going today? You doing all right today? I hope everybody's doing great. So we just start live. Hey everybody, thanks for joining. Hey. Sounds good. I messed a little bit with the microphone today. I'm not sure. Sounding good? Let me know here in the comments if you guys can hear me okay. Hey, Erica, everybody's in here. So it's a crazy week this week. We had two weddings, one on Thursday and one, hey Erica, one on Thursday and one on Saturday. Pretty intense, a lot of, Thursday we have this wedding outdoors, and the sun was blasting throughout the whole wedding. All right, hey Celester. So the sun was blasting through the whole wedding, and there was not a single cloud on the sky, and there was no trees in the place. So there's no shade pretty much. So the whole day outdoors, and not the whole day, but the ceremony and portraits, everything outdoor and hot. I was shooting. We did the formals, like family and bridesmaids and all of that outdoors because there was no shade anywhere. Had to do outdoors, and this is the first time actually that I had to shoot that part of the wedding with my 600 light, with my flashpoint 600, which is like 600 watts, and I was shooting full power to be able to overpower the sun. It was pretty intense. It was pretty wild. At the end of the day, I was like done, tired of fighting the sun. But it was a good week. Saturday was better. The wedding was also outdoors. The day started like pretty sunny, and I thought it was going to be a repeat of Thursday. But clouds kicked in, and the ceremony time, there was a little breeze. It was very nice. Jeff just joined now. Michelle. Jeff was there with me, assisting. It was really good. It was a good wedding, right, Jeff? It was a fun one. Yeah. It ended late, and Jeff is in. Ended really late. Ended around midnight, so it was a long day for us. But beautiful location, beautiful bride and groom, beautiful families. Everything went great, right? Let's get this started. Today I have a really cool topic to talk to you about. Is how to use Flash to freeze movement. But before we get there, we need to do our question. I have one question this week that came through DM me. And the question is, which flash to buy? There are so many out there. Yeah, that's one of the scary things about flash photography is there's so many options. And how do you know, if you don't know anything about flash, how do you know which one to buy, right? First thing is that I say, when you're buying lights, if you have no experience, start with one light, one speed light, one small speed light that you can put on the top of the camera and play with that. Learn how to move into the menus. Believe it or not, all my flash, I use pretty much every single part of the menu because I have them shooting as slave, I have them shooting as masters, I have them shooting a group. So you need to know. We photographers tend not to go through manuals, not to learn everything. Even like our cameras, right? How many times I've been in situations with other photographers where they struggle to find settings on their cameras. That seems to be a normal thing. But imagine if I'm shooting a wedding and I'm tweaking with my lights and stuff, and I still have to tweak the light and don't know where to go in the menu. So it's very essential that you know how to navigate through the menu. So start with a speed light, one speed light, to put on the top of the camera and play with that, right? And make sure that flash is also can operate in TTL through the lenses and in manual. I did a post the other day about TTL and manual. TTL means through the lenses. It's going to measure the light that comes through the lenses and figure out how much light will output. Which is, think of TTL like a auto mode for your flash, right? And then you have flash should also be able to shoot in manual. Is where you dial every everything on the flash to control the light the way you want. I personally prefer shooting in manual, but I have shot in TTL sometimes also. Let's say if I'm shooting a wedding where there's a lot of clouds, the sun is peeking in and out of the clouds, in and out, right? So the light's changing all the time. And when you shoot those weddings, you don't have much time to be looking down. You miss moments if you keep like looking down the flash and changing every time the light changes, right? Because if the light is constant, light's the same thing, you don't need to be looking at the light. You go, you measure your light, you don't need to be looking at the flash all the time. So you measure your light, and then you shoot, and okay, I have good light here, and if the light's even, it doesn't matter where you are, the light's not going to change. You don't need to change flash power, right? So that's easy. But if you're shooting some event outdoors and the sun is peeking in and out of the cloud, your lighting situation is going to change. And sometimes depending on the event, let's say imagine the situation where the bride is coming down the aisle, right? And the bride came from far away there. I measure my light, I'm shooting, and when she gets close to the aisle, this cloud just moves out of the sun, and now I have this blasting sun on the bride. I don't have time to stop and mess with my flash and decrease power and that type of stuff, right? So in those situations, I use TTL, and I hope that the flash, and it's really hope, because it all depends on the flash. Some models are really good at figuring out how much light to output, others not so much. So that's why I avoid TTL as much as I can. Nowadays, I'm not doing that a lot. What I'm doing is I'm putting the flash in high-speed sync, and I'm just moving my shutter speed, because I can move my shutter speed on the camera without even removing the camera from my eye. From here, I change all the settings here. I don't need to really look at the camera to do that. This is something that you're going to talk in the future about shutter speed, a high-speed sync. Right? So what is that, what it does, and why you need to know that. So also, so we talked about master and slave, right? It's good if you can purchase a flash that's grouped also. The master will work when you have the flash on the top of the camera, will fire. Slave is when you have a transmitter, that's going to go and fire other flashes. That you have like 3 flashes and one on the top of the camera. That flash will control all the other flashes, fire and control. That is very important, because that's how we do on a wedding day. That's how we do reception lighting. So you have like 2 flashes or 3 or 4, depending on the setup, and you have 1 flash on the camera. I can control each one of them individually, right? And Jeff's bringing up a good point there. Also invest in one manufacturer system. I keep saying this over and over. Buy into a system, don't buy into a flash. Otherwise, you're going to be putting like a transmitter on the top of transmitter, because flash A doesn't talk to flash B. You're going to need a different transmitter. That's a nightmare. So for this question, make sure that start with a speed light. Look for a flash that's TTL and manual, and that can do master, slave, and group, and buy into a system. Okay? And I think that's the only question that we have for today. So today I want to talk to you about something that you probably heard a lot, which is flash freezes the movement, right? That's really cool to say flash freezes the movement. And I was thinking, do people know what it means? I mean, you know what it means. Flash freezes movement. That's pretty simple. But what can you do with that besides just, how can you take advantage of that? Flash freezes the movement. How can you take advantage of that? The fact that the flash freezes the movement. Pictures done with flash, they tend to be sharper than pictures done with natural light. That's fact, because flash freezes the movement. That's one great thing about flash. But there's other things that you can do with that freezing that it may look really cool. Let me show you some pictures. I'm going to start with simple examples. This is the first one I'm going to show you is from a graduation pool party. So we're going to show this graduation, this high school graduation, and in a beautiful home. And they had a pool, and the kids just play in the pool at night. It was dark. We had to set up one flash on camera and 2 flashes on the side, one on each side of the swimming pool to light the kids. But let me show you what we did. Because when you got there, let me try to find the picture. There you go. Look at that picture there. When you got there, the kids start jumping to, so people, they were in the pool and talking and being cool and everything, and they decided to jump. They started to jump in the pool. There was a basketball in there. They were throwing the basketball in, trying to get it in, they're jumping in and get it in and dive into the pool. Cool. Then I start taking pictures of them, right? Look at my settings in there. Shutter speed 200. I was at f4 and ISO 2000. It was dark, totally dark. We had, the only thing that was lighting that scene were our flashes, my flash on camera and the 2 flashes on the side of the pool. Everything was quite dark that night. But what I want to call your attention for is, see how sharp he is? Let me see, can I blow it up a little bit? No, I cannot. The kid is pretty sharp there. I don't know if you can see it or not. The kid's he's jumping, he's in the air jumping, and he's pretty sharp right now. That's what they mean that when they say flash freezes the movement. I wasn't, my shutter speed wasn't too fast, was 1/200. That's pretty normal. That's pretty much how I shoot everything that I shoot. I try to keep between 160 and 200. F4, my depth of field wasn't that big neither. My ISO was high because it was dark. But you see how sharp he is? So that's one of the uses that people say flash freezes the movement. This is when you take advantage of your equipment, right? So I can tell you, all of those pictures are sharp. And what happened is that when they saw me doing that, I did that picture and I called the kid and I showed him, oh my God, this is really cool. And he called all his buddies, and suddenly we have like a lineup of kids wanting to jump and want a picture like that, right? So this is one, and then we did another one. Let me show you. Apparently this guy is in the military, and we did this one. Right? So he's totally in the air there. He's totally jumping. I told them, look this way, let's make something cool. And they start doing poses and all that stuff, having fun. And I kept shooting to the point that we got bored. Okay, let's go home now because we're doing the same thing over and over again. So, but that is what it means that flash freezes the movement. That's why, I mean, a lot of times people ask, why not use constant light? Like right here now, I have constant light on me. I have one light here, 2 lights over here, and I have another one here. I can show you. I have, let me see. Not this, I pushed the wrong button there. So I have one here. There's a constant light there. And I have another one here really close to me. And I have 2 on the back here. One high there to create a little bit of light on the top of my bald head. And I also have a nice light down here because I was creating a little bit of shadows down, so I have really soft ice light. These are constant lights. The cool thing about constant light is like what you see is what you get. The WYSIWYG paradigm, right? What you see is what you get. When I'm shooting rings on a bride and groom rings on a wedding, I'm using constant light because I don't want to be guessing how much flash power I have here and there. So this Saturday we created a really cool a ring shot for a bride and groom, and I actually Jeff did a behind the scenes. I post on my story. If you guys want to see that, just if you didn't see it, just ping me and I'll post on the story again. But why not use constant light? Constant light is not strong enough to freeze the movement. That's true. That's why flash does like milliseconds, go boom and goes away. Because there's so much power. I mean, there's 50 watts, 600 watts, 200 watts that goes off and boom boom, and just create that really strong lights and dies, right? That's why it dies, because there's no way to keep that much light power on a gear that is mobile, that you can carry with you around. There's no way. You have to have a battery, you have to have big batteries and that type of stuff. That doesn't make it usable for us photographers. So unless you're shooting a set, you have to have this, those big lights and stuff, and then that should work. But still, they're not going to freeze movement, because flash freezes movement because of the amount of light that's thrown. That's the power of flash. That's why we don't use constant light. I may use constant light sometimes when I'm doing bridal party, for instance, right? We tried different stuff. I'll tell you, we tried. Dani and I have tried a lot of stuff in lighting, and some of the stuff is just too much more work to do that really doesn't pay off. We already bring a lot of gear. If I'm going to bring constant light to do bridal party, nah. So just throw a big soft box there and everything's going to be all right. So that's the big difference between the constant light and the flash, right? The constant light will not be able to freeze the flash, freeze the movement. This is just fact. You cannot get the same sharpness, the same crispness that you have with flash. You cannot get them with constant light. That's just the way it is. That's why we don't use it all the time. Videographers use that all the time because they need the light all the time. That makes sense, but not us in our photography. We use flash pretty much, and like I said, the only time I use constant light is when I'm doing the ring shots, because I don't want to be dialing up and down flash and move the flash over there, because I'm not seeing the light. With the constant light, you just put it there and okay, it looks good, and that's what you're gonna get, right? So I showed you one benefit of using flash to freeze the movement, which is kind of cool, right? You're playing, but not everybody here is going to shoot a pool party, or that's not going to be very useful. So what we do, actually, I use flash to freeze movement in a different way. So let me show you these pictures here. And again, you don't have to like the picture. Just if you don't like the picture, that's fine. Just take it for what it is and focus on the technique. Look at the settings on that image there. Shutter speed 1/8 of a second, f4 4.5, ISO 1250. Look at the shutter speed 1/8 of a second. That is pretty slow. Any picture you're going to take by hand with a 1/8 of a second with no flash, it's going to be blurry, right? So think about it. The normal regular shutter speed that I shoot is at 1/200 of a second. We are at 1/8 of a second. But look at the light strikes behind her, right? That's caused by me moving the camera when I shoot. That's what it does. That's what it's called there. So if you look at those light strikes, what happens here, I'm shooting, right? I'm focusing, I have my light diode, and I'm focusing, right? So he comes, I push the button, and I go like this, just a little bit. Push the button, like this. That's what creates the light strikes behind her. But see how sharp she is. She is totally sharp. Again, she's dancing. I'm shooting at 1/8 of a second, f4 4.5, and she's sharp. Let me show you another one, which I like a little bit better. This one here is one of the best ones. See how sharp she is? Same settings. It was the same wedding. 1/8 of a second, f 4.5, and ISO 1250. I mean, I think this is pretty wild, and I think, of course, you don't shoot the reception entirely like that, but I think it's really cool to give those in. What do you guys think? Type in the comments there. Let me see what you guys' opinions are. Is it something that you like? Something that you think is cool? You think it's cheesy? You already know this? I'm just, bothering you with all this information that you already know. Give me some feedback on that. What do you think? Is this a technique that what I said makes sense, or or you're a little bit lost now? Let me know. Gilda likes it a lot. Yeah. Oh, here comes the question. What was your flash power? And the answer, I don't know. Because I don't know. Again, I don't pay attention to those numbers because every situation is going to be different. Every lighting situation is going to be different from one to another, right? So I can tell you, oh, it was 116. It will not mean anything because you're going to get to a location that you have more light, available light, then your setting is going to be different. But that makes sense, guys. I want like that idea to sink. That I want you to look at this and this to make sense to you. Why you get the light strikes on the background and why she is still in focus. The biggest challenge, we did that yesterday in a wedding also, and yesterday I was in like 1/10 of a second. Every time I do the technique, I have noticed that I'm landing like in 1/8, 1/10. That type of shutter speed. The trickiest part on this is to get the lights in the back, but the lights don't cover the face. Because when you go like this, so again, I'm shooting. I think we did a video of that yesterday, right, Jeff? If Jeff is still there. I think he did a video of me shooting that way. So you push the button, because the shutter speed is so slow, it's 1/8 of a second, so the camera's going to stay, the curtain is going to be open for enough time for you just to flick the camera and come back. Yeah, so I sent it to you, right, Ray? So it's pretty much what it is. You push the button and you flick it, and you flick just a little bit. You don't need to go like all the way in and out. No, you flick it just a little bit and you're going to see what happens. Now, it's not an easy technique. It's not something that you're going to get there and nail it right first time. Maybe will, I don't know. But for me, I have to try a few times before I can get there. So how do I go about it? How do I start? Where do I start? First thing, I already know for a fact, and this is, you can write that down. I know that if I start at 1/8 of a second, I know I'll get the light strikes, right? So I already dial my camera to 1/8 of a second, my shutter speed. So 1/8 of a second, 1/8 of a second, then I measure, okay, what's my aperture? I want something blurry in the background, but I want a little bit of depth of field. 4.5, 5.6 would be a good place to start. And then ISO to light the scene, and I take one picture. Boom. I don't care if it's blurry, I don't care what it is. I take a picture with no flash, right? So that's the process. I take that image with no flash at all. So at that point, I'm just dialing my ambient light. That's all I'm doing, just to see how much flash power I'm gonna need. So if I'm too dark, I'll probably increase the ISO a little bit. I'm not going to decrease the shutter speed below 1/8 because sometimes it makes it really, really, really hard. The light strikes start to get too large and they start covering people's face because you need to show people's face. Okay, so at that point, I'm just thinking about shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. I'm just thinking about lighting the scene. Now, once I get a good lighting on the scene, I look at my settings on the camera and I kind of wing the flash power. Start at 132 and take a shot. No movement yet. Take a shot. Oh, it's too bright. Decrease a little bit. Take another shot. So now that you have your light totally dialed, so you look at something. Okay, this looks good. And at that point, I guarantee you that you have some pictures that are still blurry. That's fine, right? So you turn your flash on, you dial the light, then you start looking at the images. Now they will start to come up a little bit sharp. That's fine. So now that you have all your lights dialed, all your settings dialed, if the light doesn't change on you, you don't need to touch it anymore for that part of the reception. You just push the button and you just do a little wing. It's literally like you have the camera over here, you push it and you wing it like this, boom, okay? If you wing too much, If you go like out there like 45 degrees, 90 degrees, that stuff, you're gonna get like huge light strikes, and those like usually cover people's face, right? I don't go too low. I mean, in point of view, I don't go too low because I know that I want the light behind them, but I know, as you can see, the one on the, I think the one on the left of her face, a little bit above her head is over here. That light, if I was too low, that light would cover her face. And this is the type of thing that the type of image that you have to keep trying and trying and trying. And it's going to work on some, and it's not going to work on others, because the light strikes all depends on what you have for lighting. This case here, we didn't have, it wasn't DJ lighting, so the light was constant light there. They were in the same place, they were not moving or blinking, anything like that. So I knew where to go and how high I need to go, that type of stuff. When you're shooting DJ lights, you're trying to do that, you get some pretty cool effect. Look at this. Sometimes you get lucky. Look at this one. Put a crown on the groom. Look at that. Look at that on the top of his head there. That was like a pure luck. It wasn't planned. I could say, oh, I planned that and blah, blah, blah. No, it was totally luck. And look at those settings. Now I just contradict myself here, right? Because I said I usually don't go below 1.6, but now I was at 1.4 on that one there, right? So 1.4, f4.5, ISO 320, because the scene was a lot of light. You see how I'm playing the light here? So I'm decreasing the light because the shutter speed, because I want more strikes. But look at the back here. Look at the back of that image, how much strikes I have there. It's much more than the other one, right? So because my shutter speed is much slower, it's like 1/4. That makes a big difference. So the strikes get bigger. Okay, and I may have swung more a little bit, but look at the groom. The groom got that crown there, which I thought was hilarious. Yeah, it's a fun thing to do. There's another one from them, from the same couple, which I kind of like it. That's the bride right here. Yeah, look how much strike I have on that one. Because I did the J lights on the back. She was coming towards me, and I just like 1/4. I didn't change my settings. Same light, same thing. So 1/4 of a second, 4.5, ISO 320. Right? And you're just like winging it. Pretty cool. I mean, I personally love that type of stuff because it's totally out of norm, right? Out of norm. I mean, think about this. Sometimes those receptions, they last 2-3 hours. And how many pictures are you going to take of people dancing? They are all the same all the time, right? So, and I remember first time I did this, I was like, okay, I got tired of taking pictures because it was a 3-hour reception. And I was like, okay, let me try to do something different here. And then I start playing with that. I said, oh, this is going to be interesting, and playing with that until I got to the point of those images. But this only happens once I have all my safe shots, guys. It's okay to play. I mean, you have to play. That's how you learn, right? You practice and you play with it. But after you get your safe shots, you got your safe shots, then start playing. You have like another hour and a half in the reception that people are dancing or people are not dancing. There's going to be at least one person dancing. Just go there and try to play with it, right? And then you start to understand. But what I want to get to you is that how you take advantage of the fact that flash freezes the movement. That's how you take advantage of it, because it's a concept that you keep hearing in photography of, oh, flash is great, it freezes the movement. And what does it mean? What can I do with that, right? How can I take advantage of that capability of freezing the movement? I mean, that's how you take advantage of it. Okay, that's how we did the swimming pool. The kids jump in the swimming pool. That's how you take advantage of it. You just stop the movement right there, which for flash, for that type of photography is great, for that type of reception lighting, or kids jump in the pool and that kind of stuff. Even if you're shooting families, right? Let's say you have a small kid and you set yourself far away and you call the kid, the kid keeps running towards you. That's great if I use for flash, for you to go and boom, 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 right? And it's going to be frozen. The kid's going to be frozen on the moment, so it's not going to be blurry because the kid is running, right? That's another application for family photography. It doesn't need to be only for reception or any event lighting, right? So you can use that also in family photography, especially kids who keep changing directions. All of us who have shot family with kids, we know what it is. We know that some small kids, they can't sit still. That's when you freeze the movement with flash on that one. Okay, so now you know what it means to get flash freeze the movement. That's what it means. So one thing that you need to be aware of when you do this is that recycling time is the time that the flash takes from one shot to another, and this changes from brand to brand, from flash to flash. Okay, some brands, they have a recycling time that's really fast, and others don't. Meaning, let's say if I have my flash in 1/8 of a second or 1/10 of a second, that recycling time, which is the time that the flash pops, cools down and come back to pop again, is going to be much faster than if I have my flash in full power. With the flash that I have, at 1/4 of a second, 1/8 of a second, I can just go push the button, because I always shoot in burst mode, right? I always take like 1-2 pictures. It's just the way it works. I don't understand people who go like pa pa. They have the burst mode, just go pa pa, right? So with time, you learn how to control your finger. You can do like 1 picture in burst mode also. You don't need to take several. But in the beginning, you're going to take 4 or 5, and then you're going to see how much pressure you put there. So I'm shooting 1/4 or 1/8 of a second with my flash. I can go and push it, go like pa 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 all the time. Now, if I'm in full power, it's going to take some time for the second flash to come up. I'm going to go pa, and I push the button. We take the picture, but the flash doesn't fire, and then it takes some flash take about a second, depending on the branch on the brand of the flash. For that case, is what you do. You're smart. If you have your lights remotely, you put 2 flashes, and you have 2 flashes and half power. I do this a lot on reception, because I know if I have like a long event to photograph, I have like 2 flashes together. But I can use half power instead of using full power if I need to use full power. Hardly ever you do, but sometimes we need. So use 2 flashes to do half power. I don't think you can put 2 flashes on top of the camera. I've never seen it. It's going to be heavy as hell. But if you're using remote, you can put 2 flashes and they're going to fire faster, right? So recycling time is another thing you're going to talk about someday. When you buy your flash, look at that recycling time. A flash that it recycles faster is going to be more useful to you. It's going to be a little bit more expensive also, but it's going to be more useful to you when you start adding. Because one thing that is real, it is true, and people here in this live who has been photographing with flash can attest to this. Everybody starts with 1 flash. I just need 1 flash. Pretty soon you're going to have a second one, you're going to add a third one, you're going to add a 4th one, and you're going to need more power, and you're going to realize, I can't keep bringing 4 flash, setting up 4 light stands every time. I need a more powerful flash. Then you're going to get one of those 200, right? Because remember, 1 speed light is 50 watts. The 200 is worth 4 speed lights, okay? So then you're going to get a speed light. At some point, you want to do some epic big images, like over what you call overpower the sun. Those 200s are not going to do it. then you need a big 600. So what I'm getting to is like, you always start with one light, and then you think you don't need more, lie. You're gonna keep adding more light to arsenal, which is cool because now you can do all of this cool stuff, right? You can put one to the wall and gel it. You can create a rim light. You can create a dramatic light over. You can do all kinds of stuff and have more stuff to play. All you need to learn is to how all of this work together. That's why it's important when I keep saying that buy into a system, don't buy into a single flash. This means that you can buy a single speed light, but buy in a system where they have an array of other flashes that talk to each other, right? That one can fire the other. That way you don't need to have several triggers, or it's just crazy. I mean, the way technology today, it allows us to do that. Those 600 that I showed some time ago, I should have one here with me right now. Those flashes in the past, they didn't have battery. You have to plug them in. That's why people call them strobes, because they were like just studio strobes. You couldn't take them anywhere. Today they package a battery on those 600. That's a 600 watts being powered by a battery. That is fantastic. You can take the flash anywhere. It's mobile, so that's amazing. When you start getting to that stuff, it's really cool. But if you're starting right now, take your time, get one speed light, get one the top of the camera, learn how to use that speed light, go through the menus, go through the settings, and everything's going to be easier after that. All right? So, do you guys have any questions? Nikon and Canon. Ooh, I missed the question. Let me see. Nikon and Canon do not have strobes. Oh, I didn't know that. See, learned something new. Nikon and Canon do not have strobes, only speed lights. This is something that we can actually talk about it a little bit another day, because I don't want this live to be too long. Do I buy a brand flash or I buy a off-brand flash? Do I buy a Canon, Nikon flash? Or is it worth paying the price? I don't know. It's something that we can talk about. We can have a discussion about that someday. But I don't use, yeah. There's many options out there. All right? So thank you so very much for joining the call today. I really, really appreciate your support. Hey, Des got here to the end. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for joining like every week. I hope you're learning something new every week. Keep following, keep sharing those posts with your friends. Talk to your friends about this channel. So you want to create a good community that understands lighting. This live is going to be on the Instagram and also going to be on my YouTube channel. Because I have less than 100 followers, I cannot set a URL, so I just need to use the URL that Google gives me. But if you go there, and I think if you search for, I'm doing it right now. Yeah, if you search for claysouzaofficial all together, you get to my channel, and all the lives that we did are there, and this live also going to be on YouTube. All right, so go there, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends. Let's build a good, strong community of people with good intentions and help each other as we go. Right? I appreciate it. If you have questions, please leave them on one of the posts. Send me a DM, and you're gonna be here, right? And next Wednesday, this one is coming Wednesday, right? At 8:08, we're gonna be here. 8:08 with Clay. Don't forget. Bye.